After coming out and obviously displeasing Manchester United on Wednesday by beating United 2-0, a game that I predicted that it's all going to be an Arsenal win, Arsenal are really fired up, obviously continue to their winning streak as they've gone ahead obviously put in very many as they've gone ahead obviously put in a lot of shifts into the mix, and guess what? They have not gone ahead obviously lose a game ever since the return from the international break, beating Nottingham Forest 3-0, beating West Ham 5-2, and beating Manchester United 2-0, and they're going to be playing away in another London derby. And by the way, ever since the return from international break, they've been playing in London, and you can obviously add on to the game they played against Chelsea, because they played against Chelsea in London, so they haven't gone ahead obviously leave London, and it's really gonna be another busy day, because the last time Arsenal went ahead obviously play against Fulham last season at New Year's Eve, Arsenal found themselves losing to Fulham by 2-1. You remember, Arsenal took the lead, and after they took the lead, this side known as West Fulham went ahead obviously pull one back, and then went ahead obviously net in the winner to make it 2-1 for the club of Arsenal. And remember, after this game of football, that's when Arsenal went to Dubai, and when they returned from Dubai, they came back as a different team altogether, and the force that they obviously exerted onto Man City was really very colossal. So that's exactly what Arsenal did, and they're going to be playing at Craven Cottage, a stadium that capacitates 25,700 people, right? And for your information, there is a very big boost in this game. Why is this game now important? Now, Liverpool, we are supposed to be playing Everton today. You understand? And that game has been postponed. We don't know when it's really going to be played. But if it's not played tomorrow, that means Arsenal, if they find themselves beating, hear me out, if they beat Fulham, they'll be 4 points behind Liverpool. And I've already told you that never cross the bridge before you reach it. One will say, all right, Liverpool might obviously go ahead and obviously beat Everton on any day, but we don't know when that game is going to be scheduled or rescheduled again, because the more games they play, when Liverpool has that game in hand, the more pressure is asserted on Liverpool. Do you know why? Liverpool as a team, will feel the pressure. 4 points behind Arsenal and Chelsea, that will be something very bad, And when you look at the side of Man City, if they win their game today, a game that they're going to be playing now, they'll be 6 points behind Liverpool. So, being 6 points behind Man City, 4 points behind behind Arsenal and Chelsea, I think it's not good news for Liverpool. They rather play this game of football, and you wouldn't like to see to it that these games are really postponed. You remember what costed Arsenal one of the trophies of 2022-2023. Arsenal had 3 games in hand. Were they 3? They had very many games in hand, and City had gone ahead to do the job and obviously win its games, and most of those games Arsenal failed to win them, if you remember that very well. So no manager would like to accumulate fixtures in the coming phase, you understand, of the second half of the season. So that means Arsenal have to come up and obviously do the needful tomorrow and really win. And I told you a lot of factors will come into play this season that you cannot even predict. That's why I told everyone that you are really joking if you're really saying that Liverpool is going to hit to win the trophy. From drawing to Newcastle over the weekend to not playing their game with Everton because of snow. You understand? Game postponed until further notice. You understand? So, if you know, that is what is really happening. So, let me check here and see. Has the game been rescheduled? Let me check here. I want to see what Liverpool people are really telling me, because I want to obviously complete the analysis after knowing the real truth about Liverpool and their game. It's who was going to host? It's Everton, Liverpool, right? So the game has been really postponed because of snow, and it's not gonna be played. So we are waiting to know when it's really gonna be played. So it has been postponed until further notice. So you now know. So that means Arsenal will head into the game of football of Fulham tomorrow, when they know to it that they really have a lot to obviously come up and obviously do the needful with. Now, when you look at Arsenal, they're really having Gabriel Magalhaes and Carafiori have not trained, So we are waiting to see whether they'll travel with the team tomorrow. If they don't travel with the team, then they're totally out. They're doubtful. But Benjamin White and Takahiro Tomiyasu, those are totally out. We saw Mikel Merino, Thomas Partey return into the team. You get of a side called Arsenal, as they beat Manchester United by 2-0. Now, Rest Nelson, is on loan from Arsenal to Fulham, is not eligible to play. We are having Harrison Reid is having an injury. Joachim Anderson is having a calf injury. And George Kukenka and Ryan Sessegnon, those are really going to be undergoing what we call a late fitness test. So those are the players that are really, really out of this encounter. And for Arsenal, I've told you what is at play. If they need to obviously come up and convince people and obviously do the needful, they have to obviously go ahead and obviously win this game and obviously send a message and pile more pressure onto Liverpool. So Chelsea is playing Tottenham Hotspur. That is tomorrow. You know that very well. So we'll be waiting to see what result comes from that fixture. So Fulham versus Arsenal. System of Arsenal 4-3-3 as usual. Who is in goal? Obviously David Raya. You have any doubt about it? David Raya is in goal. Right back, it's really gonna be Julian Timber, right? I think it's gonna be Julian Timber for his purposes, and he's only the fully fit right back that Arsenal really do have. Then on the left back, Kientien is back. He hasn't played any minutes, and Zinchenko. Now, I don't know what the manager is really gonna do, because when you look at that right side of Fulham, it's really very deadly and very attacking. So I don't know who exactly the manager is really going to play, but with Zinchenko playing 90 minutes against Manchester United, which is really more threatful onto the right attacking side of the pitch, that means the manager is really thinking Zinchenko to obviously give him a second start in a row. And by the way, things are really funny in football. Zinchenko looks like he was out of the picture at the beginning of the season, not so? He looked like he was out of the picture. But right now, he's one of those players that we all know to it that he's really starting 2 consecutive games, and I think there are certain games in the past that he was playing off the bench, but right now he started against Manchester United. By the way, it was one of the shockers to see him start, right? But he came up and started, and he really did very well. Not until Amadi Diallo came up and obviously forced him to obviously get a yellow card. Central defense, I think it's going to be William Saliba on the right side of the central defense. Remember, he played without Gabriel Magalhaes. By the way, this partnership has played some games without one another. You remember, like the game of Liverpool, Gabriel Magalhaes played it alone. You understand? Then the game of Manchester United, Saliba played with Kivio, and there are people that have gone ahead obviously downplay the efforts of Kivio, and I think you saw what Kivio can do. He's a very composed player, and it's a matter of really giving him ample playing time. And I believe Arteta is really doing a disjustice to this young man, because he's finding himself in a situation of obviously seeing Gabriel Magalhaes injured, because he forces him back on the pitch even when he doesn't need to be brought on. You get? I don't see the reason as to why he really forces him on the field, because Arsenal can win, games without Gabriel Magalhaes. And I believe, by the way, as I told you when they signed Jakub Kivio is a better left-sided centre-back than Gabriel Magalhaes. But what Gabriel Magalhaes is going to have to do is that he has imposed himself into this game of football, and every player that is brought in to obviously threaten his position, Gabriel Magalhaes continue to obviously defend better and obviously improve or provide a lot for Arsenal in the offensive area. With 4 goals through set pieces this season, it shows you that he's a very big miss into that mix of really doing the needful in the offensive area, especially in set pieces. But I tell you, if this Jakub Kiwior guy is given time, you'll thank me later. You saw how he defended against Manchester United. You get? He defended well and he was really very confident. You remember that chest pass back to the goalkeeper? That pass to Leandro Trossard that saw him really go past Lenny Yoro, and it required the effort or the good game reading of Matthias de Ligt to obviously block that shot coming in from Trossard at the goal of Manchester United. Remember? So there is a player in Jakub Kiwior, and all he needs is getting ample playing time. And I think if I'm Mikel Arteta, I have no reason to rush Gabriel Magalhaes into this game of Fulham because Jakub Kiwior is there. Though in the last game they played against Fulham and they lost, Jakub Kiwior was played as a left back, and I think he looked bad, and after 45 minutes the manager took him off and brought on Zinchenko, if you remember very, very well. So that is my back five that I believe Arteta is obviously going to be flaunting when Arsenal is going to be taking on the side of Fulham. The midfield, I think Thomas Partey will maintain his position provided he was played not injured. If Partey was played injured, I tell you, the manager will obviously opt for Jorginho to obviously play into that CDM area. But if at all Partey was played fully fit, he's obviously going to be coming in through to play into that position of the CDM. Alongside who? Declan Rice, obviously there, because this game is really very important. It sets a new definition of the title contention, right? Arsenal need to win it, and if at all the manager wants to obviously rest Declan Rice, the best way to do is get him on, win the game, and get on Mikel Merino to obviously hold onto that ball and give you more control. So I know Declan Rice is going to be played into the three-man midfield alongside the captain of Arsenal, that is Martin Odegaard. By the way, Arsenal, Martin Odegaard was taken off to show you that the manager really felt like he needed to be taken off in the game of Manchester United, and we all know why he did it, because the guy has been playing very many games and they really feel like they need to obviously give him a benefit of doubt to obviously come up and obviously have a rest as a player of Manchester, so as a player of Arsenal. Captain Odegaard obviously is going to find himself into that midfield three, and that midfield three is going to obviously form what we call chemistry that helps them defend better and helps them attack better. They read each other like a book. You get? That's what that defense line really does. So, you understand? That is all about Martin Odegaard. Now, right forward, obviously Bukayo Saka, pocketed in the game of Manchester United. He was nowhere to be seen, but that doesn't really dust off the work he has gonna have to put in this entire season. You know, he's really very, very brilliant. With 10 assists this season and 5 goals, Bukayo Saka is a player to watch. Him and Salah are really very, very, very lethal and deadly. I think Salah has 13 goals, and when it comes to assists, let me be really exact. How many assists does Salah really have in the Premier League exactly? Especially in the Premier League. How many assists? He has 8. So, Salah is 2 assists less of Saka's. You understand? And Saka is 8 goals less Hamad Salah. And I told you the reason as to why these two players are obviously playing like this, because they know there is nothing like, hear me out, there is nothing like in an international tournament, you know. So what we are going to be seeing is simple. We are going to be seeing the side of a player who wins the Champions League and the La Liga, win the Champions League and the league, obviously step on the podium to obviously win the Ballon d'Or, and its submission win a Ballon d'Or. And I tell you, Saka is among the competitors, especially if at all Arsenal goes ahead to obviously win the Champions League. And I think, by the way, the best way for Arsenal to see Saka and Odegaard battle for that prize of the Ballon d'Or is when Arsenal wins the Champions League. By the way, this year, Arsenal just has to battle out to win the Champions League. That is out. One will ask me, what of the Club World Cup? All right, I understand it's really going to make a lot of news, but I think whoever wins the Champions League obviously have a very huge goal to obviously be considered as a person responsible to lift the Ballon d'Or. Left side, here I believe a change is going to be made, and this is where I see Leandro Trossard obviously starting instead of Gabriel Martinelli. I think Martinelli never really looked like a bright spark, and Trossard, when Trossard came on, you saw to it that he was really making things happen. So Leandro Trossard is a very good player, and he has gone ahead obviously continue to extend and exert his pressure to the people or to the opponents. He has obviously gone ahead obviously face, and I think in this game of Fulham, you obviously need him. You remember in the first 6 months of Leandro Trossard, when he played against Fulham, he registered a hat-trick of assists. You remember in that game, Saka really had a goal. I think even Xhaka was on target. And who else? Who headed that ball in the back of the net? Was it Gabriel Magalhaes or Saliba? You understand? I think it was Martinelli. Martinelli, Saka, and Granit Xhaka were on target. And that game ended 4. It ended 3-0 in favor of Arsenal. And you remember that in that game, that's when Gabriel Jesus returned and really played his first minutes for the club of Arsenal after healing from the injury he got at the World Cup in Qatar. You understand and remember that very well? So that is Trossard for you, and I think the manager is really going to give him a chance to play against Fulham, because Fulham is not going to play a low block. They will play an open game, you know, but with intensity. And Fulham in the midweek went ahead to beat Brighton by 3-1 at the Craven Cottage, meaning that they are really on fire. They're going to be believing themselves, and Marco Silva will be like, last season I beat you here, and I'm willing to obviously beat you here. I believe that Kai Havertz is going to start, you know, though I think it's high time Kai Havertz played off the bench in this game. You know, he really looks rusty a little bit, and I think the manager should obviously rest him and see what Gabriel Jesus offers, you know, into this beautiful game of football. So that's how I believe the 11 of Arsenal is going to be set up. You can go into the comment section and tell me what your thoughts are about that, and we will see who we've got right and who we've gone ahead to get wrong. Now, for Fulham, Bernard Leno, formerly at Arsenal, is obviously going to be facing them at Fulham, right? Then Tete is going to be played as a right back. Diop and Basse in the central defense. Robinson, I love this left back, is going to be played as a left back. Then Sander Berge and Lukic and Emily Smith-Rowe are really going to be playing the midfield three. Smith-Rowe is one of those players that Arsenal sold to Fulham on a permanent, and now they are obviously going to face off one another. Iwobi, Jimenez, and Traore are really going to be leading the front line. It's really going to be one of those games that I'm really going to be excited to watch. Guys, I hadn't even gone ahead to obviously think about Emily Smith-Rowe, but we all know to it that he's playing at Fulham and he's really wanting to face Arsenal a lot. And I don't know what he's really going to put up onto the table, but this season, he hasn't gone ahead to obviously look bad at the side of Fulham, because he has played 14 games, and it shows you that what was bringing the injury proneness at the club of Arsenal, because at Fulham he's not getting injured. Is it that he lacked much fitness? Now he has played 14 games, 3 goals and 2 assists this season. That is the Emile Smith way that we know, and I know he's really gonna clock 10 goals. He will clock 10 goals this season, because he's left with we are left with how many games so far? We are left with 24 games. If at all he can average a goal in 3 games, that means he can register 8 goals. You understand? So I think he really has the urge, and he really has all what it takes to really get in. So Emile Smith-Rowe is going to be facing off with Arsenal, and I just can't wait to see what a battle is really going to be happening at that stadium where that game of football is going to be taking place at the Craven Cottage. Now, let's go to the head-to-head stats before I obviously bring you what we call my prediction of this game. 1. Fulham came from behind to beat Arsenal 2-1 in this exact fixture last season. They've never won consecutive league games or even home league games against the Gunners in their history. You've heard that very well. I've already gone ahead to explain it, but the only additive is that they've never at any one time went ahead to win 2 consecutive games at the Craven Cottage, right? So, secondly, Arsenal failed to win either Premier League meetings with Fulham last season, a draw at Emirates that ended 2-2, and a loss only between May 2011 and November 2012. Have they had a longer winless run against the Cottages in their league history. So, last season, Arsenal got no point off Fulham like they did. Sorry, they got no 3 points. You know, they only got a point out of the possible 6, you know, like they did on Aston Villa. Thirdly, Arsenal have scored at least once in each of their last 18 Premier League matches against Fulham since a goalless draw at Emirates Stadium in February 2009, meaning that a goal is anticipated, a goal is expected. Then fourthly, Fulham unbeaten in their last 8 league London derbies. You know, they have 4 wins and 4 draws, their longest run since a run of 9 between February 2000 and September 2001. A streak that was ended by a 3-1 home loss to Arsenal. So, you remember that very well. So, we are waiting to see how things are really going to be panning out. But it's really important to see to it that this is really happening on as it stands right now. Lastly, Arsenal have won 7 of their last English Premier League London derbies, 1 draw since losing 2-1 at Fulham on New Year's Eve last year. The Gunners have scored 5+ goals in 4 of these 8 games, as many times as they had in their previous 113 league London derby matches combined. So it shows you that Arsenal really have a very huge edge over Fulham, but don't downplay Fulham. But I see a 3-0 win for the club of Arsenal, because I know if Thomas Partey is there shielding the back 4, I don't see anything that's really going to be stopping Arsenal from really competing to obviously get in the big shift in their field. My prediction is 3-0 for the club of Arsenal. And we are powered by Mono Gadgets, dealers in the brand new phones and brand new laptops. If at all you feel like you need a used phone and a used laptop from the United Kingdom, go ahead and obviously call them on +256 70 99 88 665. That is Mono Gadgets for you. Not so. It's 070 99 88 665. That is Mono Gadgets for you. Go ahead and call them. They also have affordable smartwatches, and you'll thank me later as Rokani David that I'm going to give you the best deal of the festive season. So that's what I had for you. Slide into the comment section. Tell me your thoughts about Fulham versus Arsenal, right? Fulham versus Arsenal. That's what I really want to hear from you. And I want to see what your thoughts are about that encounter, because it's really going to be huge and highly heated. London derby, Emily Smith-Rowe, Bernard Leno, formerly Arsenal players facing the side of Arsenal, all playing against their former bosses. And you remember very well that if Reece Nelson had lived on a permanent, he would also be part of the players or the ex-Arsenal players that would have gone ahead, obviously, do what we call a serious face-off with his side. So, I sign out for now. See you later, and bye-bye for now. I'm out.